body paragraphs. This is where it gets hard, unfortunately. Body paragraphs they will take a while to master, and like you'll get a bit confused with structure and body paragraphs and stuff, but good luck. So in the study guide, on page 5 we talk about body paragraphs, and page 14 to 19 you have good sentences for body paragraphs divided by techniques, and how you can talk about each individual technique, so nice sentences that you can use for each individual technique, in the same way that you have good sentences for the introduction. So make sure that you have a look at those and edit them to make sure that you haven't taken more than three consecutive words, so you haven't plagiarized. Have a read through them, try to use them as much as possible. Try to go through them every single time you write a language analysis essay, so that you start using that vocabulary and start incorporating that vocabulary into your normal writing. They are amazing sentences. They are so worth using. I use them every single time, literally every single time I ever wrote a language analysis essay. And throughout the year, I progressively started memorizing them and use them in the exam, obviously. So make sure that the study guide is religiously with you every single time you write a language analysis essay, and have a look at pages 14 to 19. So in a body paragraph, you should always start with the topic sentence. So the topic sentence summarizes your body paragraph. It should absolutely summarize your body paragraph. Anything that's not related to your topic sentence should not be in your body paragraph. So if something does not neatly follow from your topic sentence, and is not summarized by your topic sentence, it should not be in your body paragraph. So for example, your body paragraph is about how uniform destroys identity. Make sure that you don't mention any idea that could be outside that. So that should be in another paragraph. It should not be in this paragraph. So your topic sentence should summarize your body paragraph. Don't add anything extra. I really struggled with that idea, and it had to be reinforced to me again and again. So make sure that you understand it, and your teacher might point out to you a couple of times that this doesn't belong in this paragraph, blah blah blah, and that's fine. Hopefully it will make sense progressively throughout the year. So topic sentence first should summarize your body paragraph. Summarize the ideas that you want to include in your body paragraph, and summarize the entire idea. And then you include example evidence from all the pieces that you have that you're comparing. And for each example, you talk about the technique, an example of that technique, the effect of that example, the effect of that technique, and the reason why they use it. So the effect that it has on the reader, how it sways the reader, how it shepherds the reader to assume the stance of the writer, why it's convincing for that particular type of readership. Why does he use an intellectual technique when he's writing for the age about whatever, an intellectual topic. Why does it appeal to that particular type of readership? So go beyond just the superficial, give a nuanced description of why it appeals to a particular type of readership. And explain as much as humanly possible why it appeals to the reader, how it sways the reader, why the writer used that particular technique. All of language analysis is about critically thinking about how the media positions you to respond in a particular way. So that's so try to think deeply about that. Try to think about how the structure, the color, in the cartoon, the fact that this idea follows that idea, the fact that there's a semicolon here and a full stop there and a short sentence there and a long sentence there. Why is that all together? How does it work together? How does it work by itself to convince you to assume the stance of the writer, to assume that particular political stance, to vote that particular way? How does it all work together? Make sure that you think about it deeply and give a good response. And this will actually build up your critical thinking for the rest of your life. So it's worth doing, and it's a very good part of the English curriculum. So I'm sure you've all heard of this structure, the TEAL structure, TEEL. So topic, sentence, example, explanation, link to the next paragraph. as you can see, I've crossed out link to the next paragraph because that never worked for me. I felt like it was really, really repetitive. So instead, I always include a concluding sentence. Sorry, it's not meant to be crossed out, that's meant to be boxed. So I always include a concluding sentence that's sort of like the topic sentence, and they bookend the paragraph quite nicely. I always preferred that. I got away with it, managed to get a 50, so it's fine. I'm sure you can get away with it too. Link to the next paragraph felt very, very repetitive, so I never used it. See what works for you. Maybe link to the next paragraph works for you better. It didn't really work for me. I always remember teal and tier to make sure that I remember double and triple, that I have to always mention the reason, effect, explanation, mention what effect it has on the reader. A lot of students forget that, so make sure that you always remember that. So for every technique, you have to give an example of that technique, and what effect and reason the writer used it. How does it sway the reader to think in a particular way, or to be positioned in a particular way. So for example, an image. So an image is the technique. An example, let's say the bright, floral, I don't know, happy image. What effect does that have? That has a very, positive, uplifting effect on the reader. And what reason does it have? So the positive, uplifting image helps the reader feel like, this is a very, very good idea, and agree with the writer that X is a very, very good idea, and, the reader becomes an advocate for the idea as well. So it ensures that the reader agrees, and thus the reader becomes an advocate for the idea too, and, the idea goes forward, and something happens, whatever that is. So for every technique, make sure you talk about the technique and example and effect, and why the writer chooses to use it. Think very, very deeply about all the techniques and analyze them well. Let's go through a couple of examples. Hey guys, so this is an example of a body paragraph. Let's read it together first, and then I'll explain it. So the use of a singular sustained style of writing in Lakis's letter to the editor contrasts strongly with Jürgen's fluctuating writing style. Whilst Jürgen's overall style is optimistic, it does vary and vacillate at different points in the piece. The third paragraph brings with it a shift to a more rational, measured, and practical demeanour, which then gets subsumed in an even more logical and detached style, with the listing of objective evidence. 1986A, 32 million kilometres. This eventually returns to an ardently extolling manner. Such variance in style leads the readers on a wandering journey with Jürgen, leading them to consider the various advantages of space exploration, and invites them to gaze upon it from many vantage points, positioning them to believe that it is a goal worth pursuing. Such variance is not seen in Lakis's piece. His single, sustained, critical style positions the readers to feel that they must unequivocally focus on the planet's problems before space travel. There's more in that paragraph. I need a concluding sentence, but unfortunately there's no space, but it's fine as it is. This can be a complete paragraph by itself. The topic sentence is about the style. So I'm comparing the styles of the two pieces, and in the topic sentence I mentioned that I'm going to talk about the style, and I talk about nothing else. So this summarizes the body paragraph very well. So the use of a singular sustained, the employment of a singular sustained style of writing. You should try to avoid the word use in language analysis and instead use incorporate, employ, or include, or utilize. The employment of a singular sustained style of writing in Lakis's letter to the editor contrasts strongly with Jürgen's fluctuating writing style. So her writing style changes throughout the piece, whereas his is always angry, always critical, always sort of the same style. Singular sustained style of writing in the letter to the editor contrasts with hers, and that's the topic sentence that summarizes everything that's going to be in that paragraph. And then I go through Jürgen's. So whilst Jürgen's overall style is optimistic, so an example of one of her styles, it does vary and vacillate at different points in the piece. So the third paragraph brings with it a shift to a more rational and measured and practical demeanour, which then gets subsumed in an even more logical one. And then I give an example of how it's logical. It's logical because of the facts and figures that I mentioned. So that's an example. And then this eventually returns to an artistic solving manner. And then I start talking about the effect on the reader. So such variance in style leads the readers on a wandering journey. So Jürgen's piece is about her wandering through the exhibition and how she feels and that sort of stuff. And so this leads the readers with her on a wandering journey, leading them to consider the various advantages of space exploration, and invites them to gaze upon it from various vantage points, leading them to believe that it's a goal worth pursuing. So she leads them on a journey through the difference in her style, and thus she the difference in the variety and the richness makes them feel like this is a goal worth pursuing. And so she is slowly and gently shepherding them to accept her stance and to agree with her stance. Such variance is not seen in Lakis's piece, so he doesn't do it because he doesn't want them to think that another option could even be a possibility. It's not even on the table. His single, sustained, critical style positions the readers to believe that they must unequivocally, so no choice, focus on the planet's problems, so the real stuff first, the important stuff first, before space travel, the real problems that we have on Earth. This is an example of a body paragraph, a topic sentence, going through examples from the two pieces. If I had more space, I would actually include examples from Lakis's piece, so words that show that he's always critical and always angry, and it doesn't really change. And then I don't like the L. I don't like evidence. I would include more evidence if I had more space, and link. I don't like the link to the next paragraph anyway, so I don't normally include links, but I would include a concluding sentence if I had space. So this is another example of a body paragraph. Let's read it together and then I'll explain. So the depiction of the individuals affected by the introduction of safe injecting rooms increases the likelihood that the readers will be swayed to support this initiative. The affected individuals are depicted as vulnerable victims. This is achieved through the utilization of a direct question. Did anyone ask the people who are affected about how they feel? This question is employed to shift the reader's focus. Thus, from pragmatically analysing the issue and betrayal of the media, the readers are instead made to focus on the emotions of those affected. The writer is able to add a human dimension to the issue, moving beyond the initial two-dimensional depiction of those affected. This elicits the reader's sympathy and increases the likelihood that they will support the safe injecting rooms. It's a pretty simple paragraph, pretty simplistic, lots of things to improve, but it illustrates the structural things that I want to illustrate. Firstly, the topic sentence. So I'm talking about the depiction of the individuals, so the personalization of them, the depiction of the people who are affected by the safe injection rooms, so the people who are going to be using them, and that this depiction increases the likelihood that the readers will be swayed to support the initiative. So this topic sentence summarizes the entire paragraph quite well. There's nothing in the paragraph that's not mentioned already in the topic sentence, so this is really, really good. Topic sentence should always summarize the entire paragraph. No extra ideas are allowed to be included outside of the topic sentence. The affected individuals are depicted as vulnerable victims, so I'm explaining. This is achieved through the utilization of a direct question. So this is the example that's used. So the direct question itself is included. So example or evidence. And then why it was used. So it's employed to shift the reader's focus from a pragmatic intellectual focus to an emotional focus. And then the effect that has on the reader is to add a human dimension to the issue and emotionally make the readers approve of the safe injecting rooms, emotionally sway them to accept the stance of the writer rather than just intellectually. So intellectually, she does that on another part of her piece, and emotionally, she does that through this question. So hope that makes sense. So topic sentence, technique, example of that technique, explanation of how it was done, then example of the technique, the effect of the technique on the writer, on the reader and how that overall contributes to making sure that the reader assumes the stance of the writer. So that brings us to the end of body paragraphs. Body paragraphs are very, very difficult, and they'll probably take you the longest to master, but good luck. Make sure you include all the included essays in the study guide pack. Read all of them, extract phrases that you like, put them in your own study guide and try to use them again and again as much as possible. Read pages 14 to 19 of the study guide. Try to use those phrases, max 3 words, and edit them around, jumble them around, write your own phrases. Use those phrases every single time you write a language analysis essay, and hopefully by the time the exam comes around, you will memorize as many of the phrases as possible, and they'll come back to you in the exam and you can use them. And write as many essays as possible. The more you practice, the more you use the study guide, the more you experiment with the phrases, the more you experiment with structure, the more likely you are to perfect it. Good luck.